What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Cooking with Geezdayday. So let's address the elephant in the room right now, right quick. Behind me, you see the wall in the kitchen. Yeah, there it is right there. The ladder over there. Lean back like that. Yeah. So we are currently remodeling a lot of the house. We just finished remodeling the bathroom. I'm going to do a video updating on what that came out to look like. And I'll show you the finished product. I'll show you the journey that we did, how we ripped up the floors and did everything we did to recreate our bathroom and how proud we are of it. But right now we're working on the kitchen, so the kitchen isn't really looking the best that it could look. So forgive me for having this stuff all over the place. It doesn't really look best. But today on Cooking with Geezdayday, I'm gonna just have y'all just running around with me in my daily life. We're gonna make something real simple. I'm making taco salad. Now, everybody has their own specific little recipe when it comes to taco salad, but I'll show you mine. I'll show you my little individual recipe. So first things first, you want to make sure that you have your ingredients and your utensils. You don't really need much when you make a taco salad, because what you need, you know what I mean? I got my knife right here to chop up my veggies. I got my spatula right there to do the cooking, swishing up, wrist motion. Got my saucepan right here. Bye-bye, skillet time, bye, whoop, there you go. Hit it with the spin. Hit it with the spin. Ha, pow, just like that, And now we'll go over our ingredients. So basically, to make my taco salad, I like to have some grape tomatoes. You don't need a lot, because I don't really do big tomatoes. I don't like big slices. I like to dice them up real small. Need some butter. I got this blue bonnet popping off right here, or margarine or oil, whatever you prefer to brown your hamburger meat in. I got me my mozzarella for my cheese. You can use taco blend, Italian. You can use whatever kind of cheese you want. I don't care if it's Gouda. It don't matter. Whatever cheese you prefer, you can use it. Sometimes they have like the 3 cheese blends. You can use that too. But I'm just going to keep it simple and use the mozzarella. I have my Butter Bliss chopped lettuce right there. I like this brand. I like this kind. It's like butter lettuce and red leaf lettuce. It's a combination of those two. It's not as big as romaine lettuce and not as hard. For the chips in our taco salad, I'm going to just go ahead and use the regular Doritos spicy nacho. I normally get the spicy sweet chili or, the regular version. I got my mini sweet peppers. I love me some sweet peppers. They're really, really tasty. You can get them in this bag about this size. Typically won't find them in a bigger bag or a smaller bag. At least I don't at my grocery stores. So I just get me a container like this and I just use them as fast as I can before they spoil. So yeah, we got a bunch of mini sweet peppers that we're going to use when we brown our hamburger meat. And for my hamburger meat right here, I'm using the Angus 85-15, which is 85% lean meat versus 15% fatty meat. I prefer to go 85-15 because it gives me the best, gives me the best of both worlds. When you have say you get 90-10 or 95-5, which is something I used to get, it's way too tough. That meat is super duper tough and you have to cook it really specifically to get rid of a lot of that toughness, and almost has a weird texture and taste to it. Because it's so lean, so I like to have a little bit of fatty in there. So when I'm cooking my 85-15, it really comes out good and it's easier to cook for me. So I'm using 85-15. I only use an Angus, just because that's what they had. It's a little bit more expensive. I normally don't get Angus, but Angus really tastes good, so you're not really wasting any time with that. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead, preheat our skillet, throw it on there around medium, in between medium and high heat. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of my blue bonnet, whatever, your margarine, your butter, your oil, whatever you want to do to throw your skillet in there. This is what you're going to do to saute your hamburger meat so it doesn't stick to your pan and it doesn't burn too quickly. You don't want to have your meat burning too much on one side when you're cooking it. So as you can see, it's just regular, just a little bit of butter heating up in our saucepan. Alright, so we got it heating up in the saucepan. Go ahead, get it around. Got our oils nice and melted. I don't want it to get too hot because I don't want the butter to scorch. And that's what happens when you leave your butter in there and you have your heat too high. Boom, throw it on in there, like that. Defrost it. You don't want to take your meat right out the freezer and throw it in the pan. You never really want to do that. That's not the way to thaw out your meat or the way to cook your meat, because you're going to lose a lot of flavor like that. So what I do is, if I froze this meat, and then when I knew I was going to cook it in a few days, I went ahead and took it out the freezer and I let it slowly thaw out in the fridge over the course of 3 days. It took actually 3 days for this meat to thaw out fully all the way to the middle. So I'm gonna slowly just chop up this meat, dice it up as much as I can to where all of the meat can kind of cook evenly. So you can hear that steaming. You don't want to really hear that too much. So I'm gonna turn my heat down just a little bit. It'll really calm down once this meat really starts cooking and we get a lot of the oils and juices that come out of this hamburger meat kind of almost a little too much for my pan. But luckily for me, meat shrivels up when you cook it. So this will be fitting nicely in our saucepan when we're done with it. I'm gonna let this sit right here for a second. I'm gonna let it brown on that one side before I flip it. But we're gonna let it sit for maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes, let it really brown up on that one side. Flip it over, them oils are just gonna be right there. So while we're cooking this, y'all can see I got on the plate right here one of my sweet peppers. We're probably gonna dice up a lot of these sweet peppers. So let me go ahead and take my meat off the burner real quick, because I don't want it to cook too quick. I got it started already, but what I want to do is I want to cook these sweet peppers along with my hamburger meat. So go ahead and we'll go and start chopping up our sweet peppers. I always take this top little green part off. I like to take that off of there. Ain't really gonna do me too much good. But with these, I don't really go out of my way to get rid of the seeds. Sometimes I core it, you know, real quick just to get some of those seeds out of there. But you know what I mean, I'm not too worried about the seeds, because like I said, these are sweet peppers. Boom, got that out of there. And it's as simple as that. It literally just doesn't take anything but that. Boom, hold on, let me get that focus. Ah, there we go, yep. So, once you get that out of there, you move those out of the way. Get to slicing up your sweet peppers. I like to dice them up long ways, and then I'll chop them this way. So I'll dice them up long ways to where they're like that, chop them in half, and then I just dice them up into nice little thin sections. This way it makes it easier for them to cook when they're in there with your hamburger meat. It makes it way easier to cook. Alright, so you got a nice little pile after you dice one of them up. But we got a lot of hamburger meat. So we really want to make sure that we dice up enough sweet peppers to really give this hamburger meat a lot of good natural flavor. You don't really want to get most of your flavor with this hamburger meat and your tacos coming straight from seasonings. You know what I mean? MSGs and salts and all that. Like, we don't really want that. We want to make sure that a lot of our flavors come from natural ingredients. I'm gonna chop all these up, see if that's enough. It probably should be, because we don't want too many peppers. We don't want this to be too strong. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop these up, dice them up, and I'm gonna show you the end result. And give me a time lapse. So as you can see, we got a nice pretty color going on, red, orange, and yellow. Nice assortment of sweet peppers. I'm gonna go ahead, I got my meat simmering on 2, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back up to about 4, about medium high. Probably gonna flip them a little bit just to get them, since they're probably a little brown on one side. Okay, so for my seasonings, I like to use a little bit of a mixed batch. Not too many seasonings, maybe 5, sometimes 6. But since I'm using peppers, you really don't need to use that many seasonings. So I got a little bit of black pepper right here. I'm gonna use that. You don't want too much in there, because like I said, we got a little bit of peppers. I'm gonna use a little bit of this Lord seasoning salt right there, give it a little bit of a kick, you know. But that's more flavor, not really spice. We don't really want too much spice because we got these peppers. Throw a little bit of that in there. Make sure that you're just doing little tiny general like sprinkles over top, so you can go back and forth over it, spreading your seasonings evenly. So I'm going over here, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit over on one side. I'm gonna really just go around the pan a few times just to make sure that I'm really sprinkling, giving a little bit to everybody. You know, we distribute the wealth over here. Now I got a little bit of the salt right here. We almost out, so this container's been a little bit old, but this is just regular, what's it called, free flowing salt. It's just the Kroger brand, ain't nothing special about it. It ain't the salt that's got the little girl, you know, with the umbrella on it. Ain't that Morton's brand. And I got a little bit of this accent salt. I like this stuff. It's just like flavor enhancer basically. Sprinkle a little bit of that in there. You don't want too much, like I said. We're just trying to make sure that we get just a little bit of seasonings and a little bit of cayenne pepper. Now you're gonna be real generous with the cayenne pepper, because this is actually a spicy, you know, ingredient. Throw a little bit of that in there. I hit it with the 2 fingers like that. Just tap it on the side like that with the 2 fingers as you sprinkle it over top. and that gives you a nice little free flow. So we got all our seasonings in there. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna drop our tomatoes in here. I mean, not our tomatoes, but our sweet peppers. We're gonna go ahead and all of your sweet peppers that you just diced up, you're gonna throw them in there because we're gonna mix them about once we get them thrown in there, and spread them out nice and evenly. Coat the entire top of your pan. There we go. Now we got our sweet peppers going on in there. There it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix these up about throughout our whole pot. So the meat's not really looking, you know, brown yet, but I really like the color that we got going on. I like the fact that it's like nice and colorful. We got the brown-ish, and we got a lot of our sweet peppers in there, kind of setting the joint all the way off. I'm gonna get a cover. I'm gonna cover this up because I really want the flavors to get to know each other. I want these peppers to really cook and soak into that meat. Okay, I couldn't find the exact lid that goes with this, so I'm gonna just use the wrong size lid for this. You know, as long as you get a cover on there, you're good. We don't need to cover the whole thing. We're gonna work with what we got. You know, that's the best that we can. That's the best we can do over here. I'm poor. Leave me alone. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna use our plate that we use to chop up our peppers. This is what we're gonna use to dice up our tomatoes. So I'm gonna rinse this plate off. So like I said before, I got me my regular little grape tomatoes. Bam bam, like that. Nothing too special. They look like little cherries. But yeah, these are real small little tomatoes. They're super easy to incorporate into any like salad or anything like that. Some people incorporate whole grape tomatoes. I like to use the grape tomatoes because, like I said, I like my tomatoes really small. Every couple of minutes or so, we're just gonna go in here and really flip our meat around, mix our stuff up. Like I said, we're just really trying to make sure that we get our meat cooked nice and tender. We want a lot of those flavors soaking up right into our meat. So I'm going through these cherry-sized little, you know, grape tomatoes. I'm going through the ones that I'm finding that are bad. They're really mushy. They got the little brown spots on them. I can't use those, you know. So they gotta go. Gotta get rid of them. You don't want a bad apple in the bunch. It'll ruin the bunch, you know. Now that we've got a couple of our bad guys out of there, you know, the rest of them, we checked them out. They're good. I'm gonna go ahead and start dicing these bad boys up into real small sections, maybe like fourths if I can. Probably thirds, but most likely to be fourths. Okay, so it turns out all of these are bad. It's quite unfortunate, but hey, what can you do? I guess this time we're gonna have tacos without tomatoes. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate for me. I bought a bad batch and I let them sit for a couple of days. You know, sometimes you got to be really careful when you buy certain ones. I really should have checked it more when I went to get them. And it's pretty unfortunate because as soon as I started trying to chop them, they just started squirting out all types of juice, which you kind of want, but they were smushing while I was trying to chop them. So now we're just waiting for our hamburger meat to fully brown. I've got the top off of here. Like I said, you only want to leave your top on there for maybe 10 minutes in total. Yeah, about 10 minutes in total. So you'll take the top on there, leave it on there for about 5 minutes, take it off there, and then, you know, move it around, put it back on there for another 5 minutes, move it around when you take it back off, and then you'll probably leave it back off after the second time because you really don't want to let it, you know, steam in there too long because it's not necessary. You know, the meat isn't supposed to cook super duper long. You know, you don't have to. You can. I'm sure there's plenty of different ways you could, but for this, we don't really have to cook it all that long. But while we let our hamburger meat brown, we want to make sure that we got all our ingredients, start opening them up. Well, I use my teeth because I'm a caveman. Because I'm a crazy caveman. Open that up right there. Got my low moisture, part skim mozzarella. Open that up right there. Just make sure that you get all your stuff ready because taco salad is best eaten when it's fresh. Open up my Doritos. Bam. Hey, they actually didn't give me just half a bag. At least well, it looks like half a bag from there, but it's like there, you know. That's cool. You know how they do. They don't fill the whole bag up, never. And we've got our containers. So we got these containers, just little Tupperware containers. You can get them at Walmart, Kroger, just about anywhere that they sell, you know, Tupperware. And I'm using this size because we got a lot of ingredients that we want to all put in the same container. So this will be a good way for us to have a lot of ingredients and put them all into one container without it spilling over and making it difficult to actually, you know, fit them together. So it'll look like that. You'll see why I keep the lid on there in a minute. So it hasn't been 5 minutes, but I'm hearing a lot of action going on. I'm gonna take my top off there. So this is what we got going on. This is what we looking like. Still got a little gray coloration to it, so we want to leave it in there, let it brown more. Once it gets a nice, real good brown hue to it, that's when we know it's done. After about another 15 minutes of cooking, our meat is finally starting to get that darker color that I like. I don't like grayness in my meat. I'm not a big gray man guy. You know, that grayness on it, you ain't got that brown. I don't like that. All our other ingredients are prepared, so we are going to start layering our Tupperware containers. So first things first, normally what you want to do is you want to layer the bottom with meat, but I don't like to do that because sometimes you find yourself searching, scraping the bottom, trying to get a little bit of meat out of there, and it's just, I'm not a big fan of that. So what I like to do is I like to layer the bottom with a little bit of lettuce. We got our secondary ingredients. We're going to go ahead and start layering them up. I'm going to start with a little bit of lettuce, my butter bliss, what they call it. A little bit of butter lettuce, a little bit of red lettuce right in there, in that joint right there. Yeah, I like that. Throw a nice little layer on the bottom of there. See, we ain't got too much, but we got a nice amount. I actually like a lot of lettuce in my taco salad. I like that. I like that fluffiness to add to my taco salad. I really, really enjoy it. It's a texture thing for me. With your Doritos, now this could be Cool Ranch, it don't matter. You can use regular tortilla chips or whatever you feel like using, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my spicy nacho Dorito. I'm gonna go ahead and start dumping them. But before I dump them, I'm gonna crush them a little bit. Give them a nice little crush. This just makes it much easier for you to actually have a bite of Doritos, because you don't want to just have a big huge chip in your mouth trying to get everything in there. It's much easier. Yeah, I'm just going caveman style. I'm just smushing down my hand. I don't know what I did with my fork, but it's all good. And I'm gonna layer in a little bit of cheese on this. Okay, layering a little bit of this in here. Got the cheese popping off. We don't really need too much because mozzarella is super melty. It's super duper melty. So I got one layer of that. Now that our meat is nice and brown, take another look at that. I love the way my meat turned out, for real. I really like it. It's got a nice smell to it. It's like got a lot of flavor. Like you can smell the flavor on the chicken because of all of those peppers that we had in there. And the peppers kind of fit nice and at home, texture wise and taste wise, when it comes to pairing like with the Doritos and just the chips. Well, the Doritos, yeah, chips, and the hamburger meat. They complement each other really well. So we'll go ahead and add a layer of our meat right up in here. And as you can see, I'm not taking out our sweet peppers. Our sweet peppers go with us all the way home. They've been with us this long. We got to do them justice and eat them with our meal. I'm laying a nice thick layer of hamburger meat right here in the middle, because we're probably not going to add another layer of meat. We're just boom, throwing it straight in there. Now this right here, this is something that lasts me throughout the whole day. The entire day. This is a whole day's worth of food for me, because you got all this hamburger meat that's in there. That's a nice little layer right here. So as you can see, we got the layers. It's steaming up in there, so you can't really see it now, but you can see how the bottom's got the chips going on, a little bit of lettuce. We got our cheese right up here in the middle, and then like through the steam. That ain't helping, but that's kind of the goal here. Let me see if I can get another side. That might be a little bit better, but yeah, you can see the layers that we got going on. We can go ahead and layer it right back up with a little bit more lettuce. Well, we'll probably do cheese first, because I like to put the cheese next to the hamburger meat, because this gives it a good chance to melt. So I'll layer cheese, and then I'll put cheese under the meat and on top of the meat. Give it a good chance to melt in there. You know, like I said, you don't need too much. I'm just taking a fingerful and sprinkling it on in there, spreading it about. Get a tiny bit more like that. Throwing some more lettuce in there right on top of this. There we go. Like I said, I like a lot of lettuce in there. And we're gonna finish it off with a little bit more Doritos. This gives you your crunch, and it's like a taco shell. This is where you really get your taco salad from. Because otherwise, without your chips, you do not have taco salad. There we go. One of the things with taco salad is that I always end up doing is I come back and I always end up adding more chips. Crunch this down a little bit. And yeah, as you can see, we filled up our whole Tupperware container. That's why I say, like, at first it doesn't seem like we're doing a lot, but we are. So you can see that's really actually coming out really good. It's nice and layered all the way through and through. Now, I didn't add any sour cream because I'm not a big fan of sour cream, but I am going to top it off with a little bit of this Ortega taco sauce. I like Ortega. This is a good brand for me. Or you can go ahead and use some paste. I got taco salsa, which, you know, everybody is like, they have the different preference, but I like a little bit of taco sauce because we didn't use taco seasoning or nothing like that. We seasoned it ourselves. And you can really kind of, like I said, I was going to make a basic taco salad today. I didn't want to, you know, run away with this one and make something crazy, because on Tuesday we're making something simple as well, but we're making my own little rendition of it. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully get a little bit of this in here, drizzle throughout. Just give us not just a kick, but it'll give us a nice little different texture to look forward to while we're eating this. Give us a little bit of that on there. And now you can see we got a little bit of taco sauce on there. Take a look at that. Came out really, really well. You can get a good look at our layers. Really good look at the fact that we got our chips, lettuce down here, a little bit of cheese in between our meat, cheese above it, meat right here layered all in the middle. There's a lot of meat in there, and then coming right back up to the top, we got our chips and our salsa, topping it off. So now what I like to do is I like to just mix it up a little bit. We got it layered so we can get the stuff in there. I'm gonna mix it up. So hopefully I don't lose too much of it. Losing chips. But as you can see, we get a whole nice bite. We get a little bit of everything when we pull it out of there. This is the hard part about eating taco salad. So as you can see, it ain't really that crazy to make you a little taco salad. This is something took me maybe 45 minutes to make. It's a really super filling meal. Super duper filling, super flavorful, super packed. I'm getting the peppers, I'm getting all types of different textures. I'm getting crunch, I'm getting soft, I'm getting fluffy. I wish I had my tomatoes in there because that'll probably mellow it out a little bit. I'm getting a nice little kick from our seasonings. And our peppers, they're sweet, but at the same time they kind of bring a little bit of heat to the dish. But it's all good. And our nacho cheese Doritos, we probably, on this occasion, we probably would have wanted to go with the spicy sweet chili or the basic regular nachos, because for some people it might be a little too spicy. Like I said, for me this isn't even really spicy, but for some people, everybody's got different taste buds. For me personally, 10 out of 10, but you know, everybody loves their own cooking. So I would say if this is how a recipe that you want to follow, it's super duper simple, super duper easy. I'm not trying to cook anything that I feel like you couldn't cook, and that's the whole concept of cooking with Geezdayday. Just like exercise with Geezdayday, you know, everything that I do, I want it to be applicable to you in your life. So let me know if this is something that you want to try, and if you do end up trying it, send me a video or a picture of you actually having it, because I would love to see some of those. And let me know if there's anything that you wanted to see added to this dish that I didn't do, and you're like, man, I'm gonna do this when I make it. Let me know what your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. So I appreciate you coming out. Hope you had a good time. I'll see you in the next episode of Cooking with Geezdayday. I'm out.